What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another little bit late edition of the CruitCast. Cole, as we sit here, Cole Patterson sitting there beside me. We record this on Friday morning. Cole, I think this is the latest we've done the CruitCast, but it's been one of those weeks, dude. And just been on the go with open practice and football stuff, and you've been on the go. So we're a little bit late, but we definitely wanted to get one out, and this gave you a chance to go watch a key scrimmage yesterday. So we'll have some of that to talk about. So before we get into that, do us a favor, everybody. Like the videos, subscribe to the channel, get those notifications, man. Our numbers keep going up, and we appreciate everybody watching. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video. Most importantly, hit up our sponsor, Prime Shrimp. You see the logo at the top, primeshrimp.com, $20 off your first order. Use that promo code OrangeBloods. It's delicious. It's fantastic. Cole, I want to talk about Prime Shrimp a little bit. They have a new flavor, the lemon pepper shrimp. They sent you some. They sent me some. I got to be honest, man, my goal was to try it this week. Seriously, I've been on between kids going back to school, Texas football practices, running my kids all over God's green earth for work obligations and sports obligations. I haven't had a chance to try the new lemon pepper shrimp. One day I did come downstairs last week, and my middle daughter, she's a freshman in high school now, she loves shrimp, dude. She loves seafood. And I did let her have one package of prime shrimp previously. I've let her have a couple pieces of mine. But this week I came downstairs, she was literally tearing open that lemon pepper thing. Like, she couldn't make that lemon pepper shrimp. And I was like, oh, no, you do not. I was like, put that right back in the freezer. Listen, I'm supposed to be one of the first ones to try it. No, that is not for you. Like, boy, I was ready to come to blows maybe with my daughters. So I haven't tried the lemon pepper shrimp. I'm sure it'll be fantastic like all the others. I want to ask you, Cole, just a plug. Have you tried the lemon pepper shrimp from Prime Shrimp?
Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good plug. I actually had some on my birthday on Monday. So
good for you.
had some prime shrimp for birthday lunch, and it was really good. So this is good as any other flavor. I'm a big Louisiana Cajun guy myself. So anything with seafood and shrimp, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, you know what I haven't done yet is put it on pasta. My daughter did that, and man, it was
Good idea.
Yeah, she made the Alfredo one on pasta, and like, listen, we are giving them a commercial, but it's good, guys. It is. We're not just saying it. It's good stuff. It's good.
Yeah.
It's delivered right to your door. It's money back guarantee. You've heard us say it all before. So go get you some prime shrimp, man, and do us a favor and do yourself a favor. I promise you will enjoy it. And if you don't, just send whatever you don't eat to me, and Cole and I will take care of it. But Cole, let's get into some recruiting. We're kind of at a little bit of a weird time of the year. I mean, college coaches are busy getting ready for their season openers. High schools are back on the field this week. Recruiting's not necessarily like running 1,000 miles an hour necessarily, but guys are getting back on the field, so it's good to go out to see them. But I want to start with something we talked about last week that didn't unfold the way we thought it would, and that was the commitment of cornerback Jordan Matthews. Winds up committing to Tennessee. Was that on Friday, Cole? I think it was on Friday. What? No,
it was on Monday.
Monday, yeah, thank you. Monday.
It was on my birthday.
Yeah, I'm telling you, my week feels like it's been 3 weeks long. So it was on Monday of this week. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Cole got a birthday jinx. Jordan Matthews was down to Texas, Michigan, and Tennessee. I thought Texas, Cole. I'm pretty sure you thought Texas. And we'll get into some of the backstory of the last few hours of that. But he ends up picking Tennessee. I think everybody was pretty surprised, maybe even the Tennessee coaches to some degree. How shocked were you when he picked Tennessee on Monday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into some more backstory. But, yeah, I mean, we all thought it was Texas for quite a while now. I know you've had your cast in for Texas for probably 2 months, if not longer than that. I put mine in shortly after he visited in July. Probably could have done it before then. We all thought Texas was the team to beat. In fact, leading up to it, we thought there was a different team that if Texas wasn't going to be the choice, it was going to be a different school outside of Tennessee. So, yeah, I was pretty shocked. I almost initially thought he picked up the wrong orange hat because maybe he was thinking it was a Texas hat. But no, I was pretty surprised. Like, this is some Tennessee fans we're calling it a shock as well. So I think it caught everybody kind of blindsided.
Yeah, it was interesting because when he visited Texas in July, that was, I think he told us his 4th visit. And like you and I said, man, it feels like maybe even more than that. But, we were talking, or I was talking to him. I think you were interviewing somebody else at the time. And he told me then, originally he was going to commit in September, but he said, no, I'm going to move it up to August. And I said, okay, that's interesting. And I said, are you still going to take your Texas official visit in September? And he said, yes, I am. Well, to me, I'm like, okay, dude, that's a pretty big tell that Texas is going to be the pick. He visited Texas a bunch. And then I talked to him on Sunday, the day before he committed, talked to him on the phone. And I love Jordan. He's a great kid. And he's really easy to connect with. So, but we talked and he gave me commitment quotes on all 3 schools. He would not, off the record, he wouldn't tell me which school it was going to be. Most time we talk to these kids, they'll tell us, yeah, go ahead and have a Texas commitment story ready. But he wouldn't. So I'm like, all right, you're going to keep me guessing. And in hindsight, he did say, he goes, I want to make it a big surprise for everybody. So in hindsight, he did a good job of making it a big surprise. But it was on Monday, kind of midday, Nick Harris from Rivals.com reached out to us and was like, hey, man, are you guys hearing like maybe there's some LSU buzz? And I hadn't heard LSU, but I thought it was interesting that Texas sources, they were never overly confident. I mean, they felt like they were the team to beat, but they were never told, obviously, hey, I'm coming to Texas. I don't think Tennessee was. I don't think even they were told. So I think Jordan Matthews did a really good job of keeping everybody guessing. Like, I don't think even coaches truly found out until he pulled that hat out. And that's unusual. Usually a guy will tell the school he's going to, and they'll leak it to their local press, or sometimes he'll tell the school he's not going to, and they'll tell their guys, it's not going to work. And then word kind of trickles out from there. So good job by Jordan Matthews, kind of made it interesting, kept us all guessing, and a lot of those, but kind of a pretty big miss for Texas. Texas really prioritized him. Rivals 250 member. I'll say this, Cole, and I haven't talked to Jordan, so I don't have really any basis of saying this, but other than I think it was such a close race, and he did say, he flipped at the end. He kind of changed his mind. I still think Texas could maybe get back in on this one. And I did ask Jordan this week. I said, is there any chance you still take that Texas official visit in the fall? He hasn't hit me back yet, so I need to keep poking around on that. But usually when a commitment's this close, it's that big of a surprise, it kind of turns at the end, which he admitted it did. Then maybe there's a chance Texas could still get him in back on campus, and then, who knows what. So with Jordan Matthews off the table for now, then we look at where does Texas go? I mean, the obvious guy would be Javian Toviano from Arlington Martin, right? He becomes a bigger priority. Any other guys that you can think of, Cole, that maybe Texas could try to go out and maybe land if they need another corner in this class?
I mean, they're bringing in a pretty good defensive back class right now. They have Derek Williams, they have Malik Muhammad, obviously, already committed. Those are 2 really high-profile guys. As far as high-profile players, obviously Toviano is kind of that big name, the 5-star out of Bravion Rogers just decommitted from A&M. It seems like LSU's probably that team to beat, but maybe Texas tries to get in the mix there. I remember hearing some whispers in the summer that Texas was trying to get back in the game with Jalen Thomas, Malik Muhammad's teammate, committed to Texas A&M. I'm not sure how likely that would be, but they have Malik Muhammad, they have Billy Walton committed, so perhaps there's a crack in the door there. Maybe they can kind of push on. Other than that, there's probably the 3 big names, but it'll be interesting where they turn after they missed out on Matthews.
Yeah, Jalen Thomas, he did visit LSU in July, so it tells me, okay, he's keeping an open mind a little bit. Like you said, we've heard Texas has been in contact with him. Does that mean he's going to end up visiting Texas or anything like that? I don't know. I'm not that far down the road yet. I wonder if they circle back on a guy like Tayshawn Wilson, who at one time I thought was going to go to Texas. He winds up committing to Baylor. I think they have options, I guess, if they absolutely decide they need a cornerback. I mean, Toviano is going to be the priority, of course, until he decides. But, I wrote about it like in my 3-2-1 as I'm looking at it. They took a 5-man DB class in last year's cycle, and they added Ryan Fox, the transfer DB. So they've got 3 DBs committed this year. You'd want 4. I mean, they maybe even would go to 5, but I don't think it's a death sentence if they only stick with the 3 commitments they have. I mean, they're 3 very talented players, and they've got some young depth in their secondary. But, I mean, obviously you're going to always target a guy like Toviano or Jalen Thomas. So,
I don't
so we'll see.
I was going to say, I don't think they need to take anybody just to take anybody. But Tayshaun Wilson is definitely an interesting name. I think he was one of the better DBs in the state. If he's just a little undersized, so that would be an interesting name to circle back to. But they definitely don't need to take anybody just to take anybody.
Yeah, and Sark did say recently he wants taller, longer corners, and does not fit that mold. So maybe that's why Tech pulled on him a little bit. But transitioning a little bit, Cole, I wanted to just talk a little bit about it. I talked on our modcast on yesterday about it, but in my closing thoughts, I talked to Cedric Baxter, CJ Baxter's head coach, Cedric Baxter being the new Texas running back commitment, of course, and really was I thought was an interesting conversation in talking to his coach. And I put it in the War Room. So if you're an Orange Blood subscriber, go read. I just literally did a Q&A in the War Room, and it's a doozy of a War Room. You're going to want to read it for that. The quarterback for Texas. And if you're not an Orange Blood subscriber, go check it out. This is a great week to try it out. I mean, there's a lot going on, but it was pretty interesting in talking to his coach. He told me Cameron Duke is his name. Coach Duke was the way he described Cedric Baxter to me. I mean, seriously, I thought I was talking to Bijan Robinson's coach from a couple of years ago. He's like, man, just talked about what a great kid he is, and he's big and runs with power. He said he's an exceptional receiver and route runner, which is what Bijan's coach used to tell me. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, Baxter's 6'2", 215. He doesn't turn 18, Cole, until June. So he'll be 17 when he graduates high school. But so as good of a player he is, and he's got tremendous quickness and top end speed. I'm just kind of looking at this conversation I had. He carries a 3.8 grade point average, and his coach told me in 19 years of coaching, Cedric Baxter is the best leader he's ever had in his program. And this is a pretty powerful program, and this is a coach who's won the Florida State Coach of the Year before. So he's had some talented players, but I just thought it was really interesting. I mean, he just raved about Cedric Baxter, a guy that I got to say, Cole, I still think is underrated in the Rivals rankings. I don't understand it. He moved down like 2 spots or something like that, 2 or 4 spots. But I don't understand the logic there. When I look at his tape, I'm like, dude, this guy's top 50 in the country, but Rivals still has him outside the top 100. Yeah, maybe with the strong senior season, he'll get that bump. But it was interesting to talk to his coach. I mean, to hear him talk about his character as much or more than what he brings to the table as a player, I thought was interesting because Baxter's not a guy we got to know very well. He didn't do a lot of interviews and just kind of stayed away from the media. But the coach is like, nah, man, he really builds up his teammates and he doesn't care about the spotlight and doesn't really do a lot of social media. And frankly, it was kind of refreshing to hear. We don't see a lot of those types, right? So, Cole, I want to jump to a couple of your travels. You've been out and about this week. You went and saw Zina Umezula. I'm probably butchering that again, from Allen. You went and watched the DeSoto Lancaster scrimmage last night. Obviously, a couple of commitments there. Corian Gibson's a 2024 target for Texas from Lancaster. I'm going to let you take over, my man. Just kind of talk about some of your travels this week, what you saw, who you talked to, and your impressions on those guys.
Yeah, like you said, I saw Zena from Allen, obviously the younger brother of Nato, who signed with Texas last year. He's a guy he's going to have an interesting recruitment. On paper, you'd probably say that Texas has a great chance because of Nato and the family connections. But throughout the whole process, he's always told both of us that he really likes A&M and he really likes Oklahoma. And it's kind of what he told me again on I guess that was Wednesday, I believe. I believe that was Tuesday or Wednesday of this week is when I went out and saw him. He said LSU's making a push. Is my audio messing up?
No, you're good, Cole. Sorry, I was muted. I'm just getting some weird popping feedback, but no, you're good. Go for it.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it's just I think Texas is gonna have to work for that. LSU is definitely in the mix there. Um, and then I also saw Jonte Cook and Trey Wisner last night. That'd be Thursday night, and Jonte looked like Jonte. He made some DBs look foolish. He got open pretty easily. He made a pretty nice toe tapping touchdown. Back of the end zone, had another one that was called back. I think it was because of holding. Wisner got a couple carries, but it's pretty obvious they want to keep him healthy for the regular season, so he didn't do a ton. And Corey Gibson, as you mentioned, he was wearing some Texas stuff. He was wearing the gloves. He threw up the hook. Was down in Austin at the end of July. Definitely one of those top DB targets. As we just talked about, 2023 DBs will be a name to know in 2024 at the same position. So but overall, pretty productive couple of days. I do think Texas can win out in Zena's recruitment. Going back to him, but LSU, A&M, and Oklahoma are all pretty big and legit contenders there.
Yeah, I remember talking to Zena at a camp.
I think it was Under Armour.
Yeah, I don't remember, late spring, I guess. And he had Texas third at that point. And it was funny because when I talked to him the time before that, I think Texas was, I don't think he ever named him as leader, but he was talking pretty strong feelings about Texas. And then he literally told me, I think he had them third behind, it might have been A&M and Oklahoma. Why do I want to say Arkansas might have been in there? I don't remember. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, all right, is he just trying to throw me off because everybody just assumes he's going to go to Texas and follow his brother? But the longer this has gone on, I think you're right, Cole. I mean, Texas is in the mix, but he is not a shoo-in to follow his brother to Texas, it doesn't seem like. So the DeSoto stuff, Jonte obviously made a big move up the Rivals rankings this week. Where was he, Cole? Do you remember where he was slotted?
I think he was outside the top 50 initially in June.
Yeah, where is he now? Where did he move up to, though?
Oh, he's 27, I want to say.
Yeah, which in a normal year, that's 5-star status. Now, they haven't released that many 5 stars just yet. Yeah, he's 27th nationally, you're right. But if he was to hold that position, and I mean, he may even go up from there. We'll see if he has the kind of senior season we all think he will. Right now, the 5-star cutoff is at 20, which is Javian Toviano, who we talked about earlier. But usually, if you're 27th at the end of the recruiting cycle, you're a 5-star prospect. Usually there's 30, 35 5-stars. So, I think Jonte has a good chance to eventually reach that 5-star status. Tremendous pickup for Texas.
I agree,
Another receiver note, Cole, before we sign off on this one, and we'll be back hopefully earlier next week with more. But I did exchange some DMs with Jalen Hill, the receiver from Longview. And Jalen's funny because he always gets back with me. So thank you to Jalen for that. But I'll DM him, and then 4 days later he'll respond. And then 30 seconds after he responds, I'll hit him with a follow-up, thinking, okay, he's clearly at his phone or his computer or whatever. But it'll be 4 days later he'll hit me up with a follow-up. I did ask Jalen Hill, it was probably a week and a half ago. I said, hey, are you still locked in for that Alabama and Texas official visits in September? And he said, yes, he was. So then I hit him back and I said, are you still looking at a September 22nd commitment date? And he hit me back, I think it was last night, and he said, no, it's now September 21st. So not a big change, really. I mean, he moved it up one day. I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but went from a Thursday to a Wednesday, I believe. So I don't know what the reason is, but he is still planning on taking that Alabama visit. He is still planning on taking his Texas visit for the Alabama game. And then he'll announce his decision on September 21st. Listen, it's recruiting. Things change. Obviously, we talked about Jordan Matthews, but Jalen Hill has been on social media, including a couple times, including very recently, basically saying, hey, I know where I'm going. And recently he was kind of caught on camera, kind of slyly saying hey, I'm going to Texas. So, you still got to sweat out an Alabama official visit, but I think that one still looks good for Texas, and it would be a tremendous, probably just the icing on the cake for what would be a tremendous wide receiver recruiting class for Brennan Marion. So your thoughts on Jalen Hill, Cole? I mean, do you still feel that one's trending Texas's way Are you in agreement with me there?
Yeah, no, I agree. He's another big riser in the Rivals rankings. He got back up to the 6.0 range. I've talked to in Alabama, someone who covers Alabama, and they think that there's just a chance they can get back into that position with that official visit. You can't ever count Alabama out in a race like that. But like I said, unless something crazy happens, I still feel pretty good about where Texas stands, and it'll be a really impressive haul if they can group Jalen Hill, who's I think he's in the top 30, 35 now.
35, I just looked.
Yeah, and then Jonte's in the top 30 to go along with Arch throwing the ball. That's a pretty good 3-man group right there, not to mention everybody else the class features. So if they can close strong there, that'll be an excellent addition for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he moved up. He was 75th, and he moved up 40 spots. Jalen Hill did up to number 35 in the Rivals 100. And I mean, honestly, that's right on the cusp of potentially being a 5-star recruit if he can that position, or maybe elevate if he has a great senior season and moves up, 5-ish spots. I mean, we could be talking about potentially 2 5-star receivers for Texas. I mean, a lot of things have to come. First, he has to commit to Texas. Then those guys have to hold their positions, maybe even move up. I get it. A lot of things have to happen, but potentially Texas could be looking at a couple 5-star receivers. And that doesn't even mention, they've got a couple other really good receivers committed as well. So Brendan Marion's been
on the topic. Malik Muhammad and Derek Williams are both inside the top 42. So that's another 2 guys right in 5-star range.
Yeah, sure enough. Yeah. So, 40th for Derek Williams, 34th for Malik Muhammad, just ahead of Jalen Hill. So, they've got a lot of guys who could climb into that 5-star range. And that's really, man, I mean, you want to have a top recruiting class or a top 2 or 3 recruiting class, you've got to have multiple 5-star commitments. You can't just have one and then a bunch of high 4-star guys. No, I always say, like, okay, you've got to have usually 2, 3, or 4 5-star commitments if you want to be in that top 3. So Texas is in a position to potentially do that. So, well, Cole, it's Friday. It's almost lunchtime. Maybe that prime shrimp is calling my name right now. That sounds pretty.
Take advantage.
I haven't had anything to eat today. So we'll put a wrap on this one, and we'll be back next week, probably earlier in the week. I don't want to make a habit of doing these Friday CruitCasts. But for Cole Patterson, I'm Jason Suchomel. I want to thank everybody for giving us some time, 20 some odd minutes of your time this week. Do us a favor again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Do us a bigger favor and do yourself a bigger favor. Go get some of that prime shrimp. Use that promo code. I'm serious, man. Try one of each flavor. Start off that way because each one is better than the next. And I need to try the lemon pepper. That is on my to-do list for this weekend. Maybe I'll put it on some pasta like I talked about and spoil myself. So, but yeah, so welcome. Thank you for watching the CruitCast. I almost said welcome, but thank you for watching the CruitCast. Cole, thanks for your time, bud. And we will talk soon, everybody. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care.